First of all, let me thank you for being here today. Your time is very valuable, and we realize that, and we don't want to do anything that would interfere with that. What we want to do is make this hour very worthwhile for you. And so if you have opportunity to give us suggestions on how to make these better in the future, please do so. We're very open to suggestions, and we want to make sure this is worthwhile for you. 22-23 was a banner year in terms of donations to the CART Fund. It included a single gift of $1 million. And the donor of that gift insisted that he remain anonymous, and we will do everything we possibly can to make sure that anonymity is protected. But we wanted you to know there has been a $1 million gift given to the CART Fund. Even without that $1 million gift, the donation to the CART Fund set a record year for 2022-23. We're delighted with that. But we always have a continuous pledge to you as donors that 100% of everything donated to the CART Fund will go to research, and we will try our best, our very, very best, to maintain that pledge. If you've joined us for this conversations event, or if you're listening to the video later, I need you to examine your district or your club's CART giving history. Whether you represent a club, or you represent a district, or you represent an area, I really want you to take some time in the next few days to review the history of the giving for your area. Quite a number of districts that are part of our family went down for 22-23 over previous years. And so in spite of that decline from some districts, we had a banner year, and we're delighted that we had a banner year. But we want to encourage those who went down so that we can fix whatever went awry. For those who routinely volunteer your talents and your time and your treasure to the CART Fund, we appreciate it. You folks here, along with others who didn't join us tonight, are the heart and soul of CART, and we appreciate everything that you do. And at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Tiffany. I'll come back in a few minutes to introduce our guests.
All right, so I just have a couple of quick reminders about upcoming events that you should be aware of. In addition to this meeting, which is a monthly meeting, we call it, again, CART Conversations. Just as a reminder about it, we always have it from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We always use the exact same Zoom link, and you can always now find that on our CART calendar by going to cartfund.org/calendar. And all of those links will be on there. Those dates do rotate around Tuesdays and Thursday evenings, and we try to rotate between first, second, third, or fourth weeks of the month. Many of you have asked why we do not set it on a similar date every month, and that is because there are so many clubs that meet in the evenings and so many trainings going on and so many other events that we feel like this is the best way to try to get the best attendance that we can. But those dates are now scheduled through the rest of this year. So I encourage you to go through the calendar either in DACDB by selecting multi-district events, or by looking at the website, cartfund.org/calendar, and finding those dates, and go ahead and put those on your calendar as well. September 5th, October 19th, November 9th, and December 12th. And again, those dates are on both the DACDB calendar and on the calendar section of our website. Additionally, our Lunch and Learns, which are our monthly lunch a la carte with a researcher, are also scheduled through the rest of this year for August 31st, September 7th, October 4th, and November 14th. I know I went through those very quickly, but again, they're also on the calendar in DACDB or on our website. And we would love for you to go ahead and sign up for those so that you'll get the reminder emails, all of those events, but also share them with folks in your district. Share the Facebook events for the Lunch a la Cartes from our Facebook page to your social media. Ask your district public image chair if you can put an article in your district newsletter. Ask your district governor if it can be shared to your district Facebook page. All of those things are helpful and will help us to continue to promote that. The other date that I want to share with you guys is something you may remember us chatting about briefly last year, and it's called Celebrate Community. This is an international partnership partnership between Rotary, the Lions, the Optimists, and Kiwanis International. And it's an effort for these organizations in each community to partner together to show that we are not silos. We work together as teams to truly improve our communities and celebrate community. It started right around the time of COVID, so it hasn't really taken off like they would like. But last September was the first time it was celebrated in my district, in District 7670, with the Rotary Club of Murphy working together with the Lions and the Optimists in their community to do some sort of project. And that's what Rotary International asks us as Rotarians to do. Come up with some project that you can do in your community with those other clubs. So the Rotary Club of Murphy in North Carolina took my challenge to find a project they could do to bring awareness to CART. And they sponsored a community walk on a Sunday afternoon that they partnered with those other organizations, and not just did a program or a project together, but they did it as a fundraiser for CART. So I want to encourage each of you to start thinking now about if you have the opportunity to partner with those groups in your communities for that week in September and create some sort of public awareness or fundraising project for CART. It is September the 10th through the 17th is considered Celebrate Community Week. And so this is an opportunity. Maybe you just all meet together and bring your coins together and do a coin drop and you explain to them what CART is. But this is a great opportunity for us to take the initiative and to really promote the Rotary side of it, but bringing other organizations into CART, because as you have heard us say on numerous occasions, CART is not just for Rotarians to contribute and to support. This is a great way for us to reach other important and really active groups in our communities. So if you need more information, if you just Google Celebrate Community, you can find all the information you need about it with sample press releases and things like that. But at our August meeting next month for CART Conversations, our fundraising idea of the month speaker will be a representative from the Rotary Club of Murphy, Tim Radford, and he is going to tell us how they did the project last year and what they learned from it and what their plans are for this year, because they are doing it again this year. And they're doing it on a Monday at lunch during their regular club meeting. But there are all kinds of opportunities that you may come up with. And if you do come up with something, let me know. We'll get it on the calendar and we'll help you promote it. But that again is September 10th through the 17th for Celebrate Community Week. And at this point, I'll turn it back to Rod.
When the CART Fund was founded in 1995, the vision of Roger Ackerman was to rely on Rotary clubs with little blue buckets to raise money and to pay for research grants. And that was his vision. It's kind of a crazy idea, but it's worked. Over the years, we've seen more and more individuals donating to our cause. And since we introduced the portal, the number of individuals donating has increased exponentially every single year. Those of us who monitor the numbers have become convinced that as an organization, we need to pay more attention to the current and potential individual donors. We need to find ways to make sure those donors feel appreciated. We need to find ways to approach individuals about donations. And I put all that under the topic of donor relations. Some of you are extremely good at donor relations. Some of us are not so good at it. But we've asked a young lady, Babbi Jaco, to become our Vice President of Engagement with a focus on helping us understand how to do donor relations. And so tonight she's going to introduce herself to you and give us a few hints about how to positively approach donors and how to make them feel appreciated. Babbi?
Hey, Rob, thank you so much. I'm Babbie Jaco, and I'm in the Chapin Sunrise Rotary Club. That's a small town north west of Columbia, South Carolina. And I guess Rod just really liked my southern hospitality and thought I might could do this well. But I'm really excited about working with this. My great-grandmother was an Ackerman from Cottageville, South Carolina, so I'm sure I'm related to Rod. But, you know, I think just a couple of things. Rod, do you want me to talk now, or you just want to introduce me?
No.
Okay, I'll go ahead. I just had a few notes I really wanted to share when I was thinking about how to make an impactful difference to a donor. And I worked for a guy for 37 years named Ken Wheat, and he was a very active football player at USC on the 69 ACC championship team, and loved his football. He was recruited by Lou Holtz back in the 60s when Lou was a student at USC here in Columbia. And he tried to give his money away. Ken was self-made, and I watched him actually try to give away money. And it was so hard. And I'm talking about $500,000 or more, because people made it hard to give. Now, the CART funds made it really easy to give, but it made me think about the donor experience, because I watched him go, oh my gosh, I've tried to give money to this school for new cheerleading outfits. And so it struck a nerve with me when Rod said, we just need to do a really good job thanking everybody. And when I think about it, the $1 million donation is, oh my gosh, fantastic. But does the $7 recurring donation could mean even more from that person giving that $7? You just don't know. So we've got to treat all owners the same. I mean, the donors the same. You know, I guess in a perfect world, we would touch each and every donor and say thank you. Got my job that I had. I'm a CEO of a property management company. I got that job years ago when I was 22 because I wrote a thank you note. I wrote a personal handwritten thank you note. I still do that to this day. I write people notes, doing video calls, not this one, but other video calls. I might be coloring some little cards and send those cards off to people. It really is impactful to get a handwritten note, just to say thank you. But, you know, to me, I think that as leaders of CART, leaders of what we're trying to accomplish here, we have a duty of being one of these committee chairs and to teach down. We have the duty to teach our committee chairs down to every club level what we can do to help them, what some ideas if they are out of ideas of how to promote CART. I was at a club just last week installing some officers over in West Metro, Rod, and one of the Rotarians shook the blue card at me. Shook the blue card. Oh, I got it. I put it in there, you know. It's all the subtle things, but more than anything, when people do give, they want their gift to be acknowledged. And how we do that, we can do it in lots of different ways. We want our thank you to be impactful. They want to feel that what they've done has been noticed by others. So I tripped across this little video that, Tiffany, I'm going to ask you to hit the share button in a second, but if you will, I came across this TED Talk, and I'm only going to share a little quick snippet from it because I think it says it all. It says it all about how to have unimaginable hospitality is the title of it. So I want to share that with you tonight. So what the video is going to tell you is this restaurateur in New York ended up taking his restaurant to #1 in the world by simply listening to his guests. And he served a $1 hot dog because there was a group of foodies who said, oh, we did everything here in New York except we didn't get a New York hot dog. And he got the big bubble over his head and he ran out and got the New York hot dog, brought it back, convinced the chef of this amazing restaurant to serve it, right? Cut it up into pieces, then they served it. And at the end of the day, what they ended up doing with this restaurant, the people were over the top thrilled that they had also gotten the New York hot dog, but they had been given special attention, right? And this restaurant of his ended up being #1 in the world because they took that whole theme of unimaginable hospitality to the level of personalizing it. So if you take all of that and you we teach at the club level to how that CART director of that club can thank those donors, and that we follow up to make sure people are thanking donors. And if they don't thank the donors, then we do it, right? And there's all kinds of ways. We've already got the Roger Ackerman recognition pins, and you can post those on social media. I will tell you that in my apartment business, it works. Facebook works. People like to be tagged. We can put together postcards. We just really need to hear from y'all. What can we do? What can I do in this role to help people? Is there anything we can supply and do for them? Is there some language? I think the most important thing I've learned is long newsletters don't get it. Long emails don't get it. We're all in email. It's like junk mail. So much email. It's too much. Too many things to read. Everything has to be snackable bite portions and constant flow of snackable bite portions to be effective. But it just comes down to this. It's just good manners. And we need to thank them all. And how we do that and how we accomplish that, it's a big bite. But as we have $2 million in donations, and we've got a lot of work to do to thank people for that, so that they experience that unimaginable hospitality. They become repeat donors. And you never know, that one person who gives that one $10 time could be your next $1 million donor, just because somebody noticed. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, so now we move to our fundraising idea of the month. And this month I have asked Dale West to join us. She is in the Rotary Club of Franklin Daybreak in District 7670, which is where I live. And they have done a really cool, very small but easy fundraiser for CART for several years now. And I'm going to ask her to tell you how you can use a calendar to raise some quick dough for CART.
Like Tiffany said, we did a very simple fundraiser, and it was effective using the calendar method. But rather than a calendar, I used the number of members in our club. So at the time we had 32 members. So I put the numbers 1 through 32 on slips of paper in a basket, and each member drew a number, and that was what their contribution was to be. However, I like a little competition, so I challenged everyone to at least double their contribution, especially those who drew 1 through 10. Certainly nobody was going to give $1, or I hope not. But anyway, it has been very effective. We have done it 2 years in a row. We've done a good job of raising money. We had some successful a couple of years there. The beauty of it was, even though I challenged people to double their contributions, what was amazing was most of them did more than the double. They just give me a check for $50 or $100. So it really worked. I'll tell you another thing that I think that inspired them some. We have a former club member who currently has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And so we have dedicated those fundraisers to him. And that kind of got to the hearts of our club members to actually give a little more. I'm a firm believer that someday, through this research, we will have a cure or at least treatment for this. So I have a habit of getting on my soapbox about certain things, and CART is one of them. The challenge, though, I don't know about your clubs, but not every member comes to every meeting. So the days we would draw numbers, sometimes folks would not be there. So I actually brought the basket 2 or 3 meetings in a row to try to get to all our members. If they didn't get a number, I would actually draw a number for them and would send it to them and say, this is your contribution amount. I don't give up very easily, but most of them would contribute. So that has been a really good fundraiser for CART. Now, Tiffany also asked me to share another fundraiser that we do, which we do it for Polio Plus, but it could easily be done for CART. We have one evening that we go to someone's home. Everybody brings a dessert of some type, and we auction those desserts, and that money goes for the fundraising. Great fun time. lots of money because one of our club members has decided he's an auctioneer, and you don't even bat your eyes because he thinks you're bidding on something. So you be very careful. You know, I sit on my hands, but it's hard for my eyes not to blink or do something crazy. I've bought a lot of desserts I didn't need or won't, but it's for a good cause. It's a great fun time, and it's very easy. Just bring a dessert and people give their money. So those are two things that we have done that have been very effective.
Dale, Dale, if you can hear me, I have a question for you to share with everyone.
I can't hear you, Tiffany.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know what's happened with my sound on my computer. That's why I had my phone on also. One of the challenges other than members not coming has just been making them aware of how important CART is. And Babbie, like you, I think it's so important to write a note. So every time we have a coin drop, and we did a coin drop every quarter just to make sure, you know, that I got everybody. And I tell them, if you haven't been saving coins, we take folding money. It doesn't have to be a coin. I take it all. So, you know, I'd get $20 bills, whatever. And if they didn't have something, I'd go back to them the second time. But it's been a fun thing for us. That was probably the biggest challenge, was just getting folks at the meetings. And then if they weren't there, to get them to do their contributions.
But I think what I really wanted to make sure that you all heard is that they don't do this calendar fundraiser in lieu of their blue buckets or their change and their collections. This is in addition to. So if you do have a club that does not want to use blue buckets for whatever reason, and there are clubs out there that choose not to do that, maybe they invoice their members, maybe they do a fundraiser, maybe they're looking for something different or unique. This is an opportunity for you to share a different idea. So they don't do it in lieu of the buckets. It could be done, but they do this in addition to. They collect in their buckets, and they do the quarterly coin drop that you heard Dale mention as well. So I wanted to make sure that you got that. But I'll tell you this little secret also while she's getting logged back in. One of the other things that I know for a fact that Dale does is she has a few people in her club that she knows that she can count on to give more money. So she always makes sure that they get the 30 or the 31 or the 32. She lets them draw early, or she just hands them that number and leaves the smaller numbers in there. So I know for a fact that she does that to make sure that she can raise the most amount of money. Our question for you is, do you do this once a year or do you do it more often?
We did it once a year.
Okay.
Awesome. And you're right. Those two people that I always give the highest. No, I take the highest one, and the next two are Ron Weinkoff and Billy Black. I make sure they get the higher ones.
I didn't give their names, but I did say that you had folks. No, absolutely. They're very good at that. She has done that Polio Plus fundraiser with the desserts raises thousands of dollars in one night at someone's house. It's really quite incredible. But the calendar, again, whether you have someone pick a number or draw a number out of a hat, it's a great way to do a quick fundraiser for CART. And I will say that Dale's club is a smaller club. How many members do you guys have now?
Maybe 34, 35.
Mm-hmm. And so if you were in a larger club, you could do the numbers more than once. Obviously, you could, I've seen some clubs even that have it written on a calendar, and you go by and you sign your name on the date, which is the number that you are choosing. But Dale, again, does it with the drawing of the hat, and then she can guilt them into giving more if they got one of the lower numbers.
The other thing too, Tiffany, if it's a smaller club, I would just add a zero. Like if you had 9 members, I'd add a zero. Maybe somebody would do the $90, and you could still challenge them to double it.
Absolutely. There's lots of ideas there. I think it's a fun way. It's easy. It doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't take months of planning. It's very simple and easy to do, but it's also very effective. And especially if you guys have clubs in your district that do not want to use blue buckets, this is a great idea that you could share with them.
And just have fun.
Exactly. The next thing on our agenda tonight is to talk about some volunteer opportunities that we have. As you know, if you were on this call, you are probably either a district chair or a regional director or a member of the board of directors or a club chair. But some of you are very, very interested in what can I do to help CART more, Or you have people in your district that you know of that say to you, oh, I'd love to help you guys out. Just let me know what I can do. And poor Babbie said that. And now she has a true job description. So be careful what you wish for, because Rod and I are always listening. However, there are lots of small things that could be a one-time task or a regular task. And so I just wanted to go over a couple of those with you guys. If you, and I'm not asking those of you who are already doing all the work to do more. Let me be perfectly clear. We are so grateful and appreciative for everything that you guys do. But maybe there's someone in your district that has been a district chair in the past, or has been a district public image chair in the past, or has been a club chair or an advocate. And this is an opportunity for us to get these people involved in a new task and to help us. So there are things like scanning old documents in to put them into an electronic file folder. We have notebooks of Bill Shillitoe showed up at my house one night with boxes full of 3-ring binders full. And it's things like old newspaper clippings about the CART Fund and old letters. There are handwritten notes in there by Roger Ackerman. And there's a lot of data that I'm tossing as well, but there's a lot of really good information that we don't want to lose. And maybe someone is really good with technology and would be willing to take photos or scan them and input them into a folder for us. There are things like that. There's also things like doing the honorarium and memorial notices and acknowledgements every month. That is something that we could really use help with. Maybe you're a writer and you love writing stories, and maybe you are really good at DACDB. We would love folks who can help us write some easy stories in DACDB, which would then populate to our website. And there's all kinds of opportunities out there. Maybe it's fundraising, maybe it's doing some of the engagement like Babbie was talking about earlier. Maybe it's actual fundraising, maybe it's saying thank you to people, maybe it's planning an event, working on the annual meeting for next year, which it feels like we just had it, but it feels like it will be here again before we know it. So there's a lot of work to be done. And we're all on this call. I don't want you to ever think that I'm asking you to do more, because I'm so grateful and appreciative for all that you do, but we need more people. And so I'm asking you to help us with that. We're also looking for folks to help with social media, whether you are wanting to learn more about social media, or if maybe you're on Twitter anyway, you'd like to take over and work the Twitter account for CART, or maybe you are really good at making videos or social media, Facebook, whatever the case may be. There are lots of opportunities out there. So if you are interested in doing something, or if you know someone in one of your clubs that's interested in doing something, we could truly use more volunteers. So we hope that you will consider doing that. On that same note, we are excited because we are growing so much from all of the publicity that we've been getting. We've gotten more and more districts, more and more individual clubs. And so our regional directors are becoming more and more important, because they are serving much like assistant governors do, so that the governor isn't answering all of the questions all of the time. And so we're very excited that Suzanne Botts, who completed her task as a district chair, and now Larry Kingsley is following in her footsteps, but she has agreed to come on board as one of our new regional directors, and she is taking on a whole slew of districts and clubs to work with as well. And so we're always looking for more people who are willing to take on new responsibilities, and we're excited about the growth, and we could truly use your help if you're interested. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you, and if you have people that you're aware of, please let me know.
I was out of the country. When I came back, I found this wonderful article in the Rotary magazine about CART. And I thought that was fantastic. I think Tiffany and Rod and Norm and whoever else was involved with this, it was really wonderful. My question tonight is, what future inroads have we, or can we use this for Rotary International? I think it's such a great project. Alzheimer's is got to be one of the top needs of research for Rotary compared to the other projects that Rotary has. What are we working on now with that, or what additional things can we do to get Rotary's attention? Thank you.
Eldon, let me answer part of that. Wen-Hun helped us create the article for the Rotary magazine. He is the editor of the magazine. And we've had lots and lots of feedback from lots of folks as a result of the publication of the magazine in May. As part of that article, Eldon, we created a podcast. And that podcast actually is being released the end of this week. That was the call I had to take a while ago and I disappeared from the screen. The idea was that we would publish the magazine and then wait 2 months and release the podcast to try to get us a maximum exposure for CART as possible. So I will give Tiffany the link as soon as it comes in tonight to me. And we'll send out the link for the podcast and you can send it wherever you want to send it to get lots and lots of folks to continue to be inspired by the CART Fund.
Well, my
we've had
thinking,
a number of districts to raise their hand and say, I want to do this. In fact, we have exponentially expanded over the last 2 months. So much so that Tiffany and I are flabbergasted at how many calls we get. And we expect that to continue. There are districts now all the way to the West Coast participating in CART, and we're thrilled at that. We will continue to try to foster those districts that don't know anything about us. We have lots of help from lots of folks who are part of Rotary, and we look forward to using lots of money to find the right kind of research to find a cure.
thank you.
Does Rotary International have the same, does CARTs have the same emphasis in Rotary International and countries other than the US? Like
CART
US
is
is
a-
such a huge problem, the awareness is high. Do other countries in Rotary International have that same level of awareness?
Of CART or of Alzheimer's?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry, of CART or of Alzheimer's? That
Yes.
wasn't a yes, no question, sorry. It was an either or.
Yeah, well, I know it was, but it really is because of the awareness of Alzheimer, CARTs has taken off here. Do other countries have that same level of awareness, involvement, that CARTs is like getting a lot of synergy around the world rather than just in the country?
The article that we were the center of in May was published in the Rotary magazine, which is a part of the North American continent. Okay. The Rotarian magazines for the other continents are in different languages and have different emphasis, and the CART article was not in them. It was only in the one that you and I see. There is a huge emphasis about Alzheimer's around the world, but there is not a huge emphasis about CART around the world. Tiffany, you want to add to that?
Sure. I'll add that CART is a 501c3 nonprofit that is regulated by the Internal Revenue Service and the U.S. federal government. So we do not accept funds from outside of our country for tax purposes, or nor would we award grants to a researcher outside of the United States. And then additionally, I would add that there are other organizations that are similar to ours, whether they're doing research or other Alzheimer's projects, that are Rotary based, Rotary founded, that are in other countries. There is a very large one in the UK that we have partnered with as part of our presentations at Rotary International conventions. I know when I spoke on behalf of CART back in Brazil years ago, I was on the stage with a lady from the UK and another one from Massachusetts and another one from Australia. So there are similar Rotary sponsored Alzheimer's awareness and fundraising projects around the world, but CART is not actively seeking to be raising money outside of the US for that reason. Some of those other groups have already been in the magazine and have gotten a lot of focus as well. And I believe they are things like Repod and some of those are all part of the Alzheimer's Dementia Rotary Action Group that we are a member of, which it still continues to give us that direct contact with Rotary International.
I'm on the board of the Alzheimer's and Dementia Rotary Action Group. He and I met because my mother was going through Alzheimer's in India, and I was helping my brother with caregiving. And that's when I met this gentleman from the Rotary Club of Bangalore. And we set up the AdRag India. So this is about 4 years back. And last month, actually, he went to Sri Lanka, and they've just inaugurated the Alzheimer's and Dementia Rotary Action Group on Sri Lanka. So the idea here is to start building the awareness. It is something that is not culturally accepted, and there's a lot of pushback on that. But he's making inroads, leaps and bounds.
We all hope that, that Alzheimer's becomes a bigger priority with Rotary International. And as he said, we've been having those discussions. But when we are asked that as a representative of CART, our answer is always, personally, we hope that it's a bigger priority. But our funding, number one funding priority of Rotary International is Polio Plus and eradicating polio. And we have to continue to say that message when we are asked that question. It goes a long way in building bridges in our districts and around the Rotary International family as well. So while we can say, I personally have a connection to Alzheimer's, and I hope that Rotary International will adopt it as a larger project down the road. Right now, our number one funding priority continues to be Polio Plus and eradicating polio from the face of the planet. I want to say thank you for being here tonight. As always, we appreciate everything that you guys do for us, and we hope that you will join us again next month.